Yeah, Crow is an interesting ban because I feel like Grace is good into Cruel. I feel like denying a Lyra with a Vox is maybe potentially a better way to draft here because Cruel on A side you can counter, especially if you have Grace, and then you can pick like a Sky into it. Now here in Immortals, actually Cath is banned, so they have to worry about the Cath Baptiste combo here. So now they can pick a key laner, potentially a Kestrel or an Idris here would look really good for Immortals because those are both the next best laners, I feel, after Baron and Vox are picked or banned away.
I think you hold on to that Idris pick, though, for just to see what TSM is going to do. Because if you take the Idris right here, you're showing your hand very early, and there are definitely counters available that Team Solomid can pick up. So I would actually like to see them take their jungle pick and just have it be something that... Because there's so many jungle picks that are just good into a lot of different compositions.
Right, but you want to pick a hero that you can flex. So they're with the Dodger here, which means they want the Grumpjaw or Glaive. So TSM now will have to decide to go ahead and pick a Rhyme into this, potentially, because he's not banned, or even Sky. They can pick Sky Lyra here, which is a really good composition. So Rhyme with Sky, Rhyme, Sky, and Lyra are just the best combinations here. So we actually go with the Finn. Finn Baptiste will be picked here, and that's two things you have to block, is the Fearsome Shade and a pull, potentially Echo pull from a Finn.
It feels like quite a while since we've seen a Finn on the Hellsing Fold. It feels like a couple of weeks at least. And generally speaking, that was, if I remember correctly, more of an EU pick than what we saw in NA. So interesting that TSM go for that.
Yeah, it's just going to be providing a bit of protection, but also, like Suji was saying, it's a lot of things that you have to worry about blocking. They are going to take the Glaive as the final pick. It makes a lot of sense when you have the Adagio Grace. You want someone who can go in and receive a lot of that healing, provide that, or spread that gift of fire to everyone. But there's the reflex blocks and crucibles are going to be absolutely integral for Immortals because Forced Accord, Quibble, the Fearsome Shade, and the Ordained. That's four things that can potentially stun up any one of these targets and take them out of a fight.
All right, so how are we feeling about this TSM comp specifically then? Because, you know, this Finn captain is not something we're that used to seeing. Do we feel like this is another kind of off-the-wall pick, or do we feel like this is a little bit close to the meta a little bit?
Well, I feel like they picked Finn to counter maybe potentially a Grumpjaw pick with Adagio, because Finn is pretty good along with Baptiste. So much CC and stuns that Grumpjaw would just be rendered kind of ineffective. So it was a pretty smart pick by TSM to pick Finn. So as long as they scale into the late game, Finn is really strong, but they need to get some nice pulls to counter the Grace Echoes.
Okay, so we'll see whether they can do it. Definitely feels a little bit more meta than at least. But looking over at the side of Immortals, obviously they've gone for this double heal composition. It's something we've seen quite a bit this season, but not really seen that much success out of it this season. It feels like it's lost more than it's won. How are we feeling about it here?
Yeah, it's lost more than it's won just because the Poison Shiv, applying the Mortal Wounds, is so good against the double heal, but T-Tigers on a weapon glaive, like him, T-Tigers just being on a playmaker in general has always been so good. That was so good for Hammers last season, and I think if they can get some plays set up, it can work for them here.
All right, we'll see if they can bring that to fruition, but it's time to jump into our first North American game of the day. Let us know whether you're supporting TSM or Immortals in this one using that hashtag Vainglory on Twitter. But it's time to see whether Immortals can keep in the running for the Unified Live Western, or whether TSM will continue their North American dominance as we pass it to our casters.
Ooh, the North American dominance. TSM hanging out there on top. I'm Humanist here with Fuji, and this is going to be an exciting series. This is our matchup of the week here, Fuji, and I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I mean, it's a pretty good way to start the day for North America, I have to agree. Happy to be here, Humanist. It's been a little while, but glad to be back in some action for this weekend, so thanks for letting me join you.
I'm glad to have you, man. Look at this early Dragonblood contract coming out here doing work. Best Chuck taking big damage early on here. And, you know, this is something that I want to keep my eyes on as the matches go on. But Zelciar in here playing the captain role.
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit of a change-up, right? Like we talk about this, normally seeing Max Green take the presence in the Challenger Series, but Zelciar coming in to finally make a name for himself. And I'm happy to see it, right? Like, Zelciar's been a player around for quite some time, especially in the ranked community, but to see him get some VG8 action, he's in for it.
Yeah, it definitely is. Well, it's going to be Avonsi who's in for it right now. The Zeo drops down in first blood going to your Adagio. That's going to be great for Immortals. Super important series here, and they're going to start it off on the right foot.
Yeah, I mean, Finn does not really alleviate any of that early lane pressure, so we just see a pretty nice rotation coming out there from Immortals, being able to drop down, stop Von C in his tracks, and they certainly want to do this, right? Like, it's all about making sure that you don't let Immortals, or excuse me, TSM get to this late game.
I feel like the Dragon Blood contract is a super smart pickup here for Zelsier early on, as long as they're going to actually make it work, which it looks like they are. It's such a good delivery system with that Benediction, and then you're paired up with someone who's going to be looking to attack the Adagio, and of course the Glaive. It's really easy for him to follow up on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're also going to see quite a lot of heals coming out of the Adagio, and with the protection from Grace, it's going to be pretty difficult for TSM to trade evenly in the lane, but we do see some movement from T-Tigers up here looking for a pick. Maybe Best Chuck smells it, staying pretty close to the bottom of the lane here.
He sniffed that Glaive out. T-Tigers in there. They use his boots as well, man. They really want Best Chuck. He will go down. Zio's able to pick that one up. 2 kills for Zio early on here. Zelsiar was ready to take some of that turret aggro, and Immortals hungry early on here.
Really showing up. I love the fact that they committed to this gank, right? Like we were saying that Best Chuck sniffed it out a little bit, staying close to the bottom, but with the boot active available for Tigers, they're still committing underneath the turret. Grace, Holy Nova knocking Vox up, couldn't get away. Really, really nice dive there from Immortals for sure.
Calculated dive. Something that's going to get harder and harder to do, of course, as Finn does get levels flashed, currently level 3. Just hanging out here with Best Chuck. He needs to buy some time. Let this Vox go ahead and farm out. Best Chuck sitting on 26 last hits to Zio's 25, so they're pretty even in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Flash is going to go back. Not quite enough to buy Fountain here on this first return, but Zelsiar here just a little bit of gold away as well. A lot of money being spent in potions and flares, so a lot of invade potential here.
Benediction, Dragon Blood contract. Von C has to stand his ground. What can he do? Holy Nova connects. Von C should be going down. How about an afterburn? 3-0. Immortals up early on here. This is going to be Zio getting caught out a little bit by Flash. Quibble connects, but low level, not too big of a deal. Zelsiar even jumps forward to slap Flash on his way back under that turret. And Immortals just definitely have a early advantage here.
Give Flash the old slap, the 1-2 backhand.
Exactly.
Oh, I love the pressure that we see coming out of Immortals, right? So we talk a little bit about the fact that while Finn has a substantially strong mid to late game transition, he just doesn't have early rotation pressure. So poor Von C getting kind of pushed and bullied around in his own jungle. Flash X while going back to shop, just not a good timing for Von C to be clearing his fronts as we see another invade.
Oh, Von C, afterburn back. Dragon Blood contract applied. Zio's there. He just picked up AC as well. Von C burning down. And does he actually get out of here? That's insane. Zio boot forward. He's actually going to pull up off of that one. Show mercy to Von C, and he gets away.
Oh man, the bad mojo lifesteal actually keeping him topped off just a little bit with some polite company. Just living on the edge, Humanist here in game 1. Nice to see. Immortals just not backing down. Like, they don't care that this is TSM. This is just another game, another scrim, and maybe another ranked match in their mind as they look to put more and more pressure into this lane.
I see some polite company. Quibble action coming out. Best Chuck. Sonic zooming forward. Really not too much damage coming out just yet. Best Chuck with a poison shift completed. He'll look to probably build into Tension Bow, and we'll see where he goes from there. Right now, things coming out not too OP for Immortals, and as far as the net worth's concerned, it does feel like they're setting the pace of the game, which is really good. I think it's important as we talk about that draft. I'm curious though, Fuj, what do you think about the Batiste here? Is he really like his fight style through these games? A lot of times he's just poking from the edge, but how can he actually like stay at the edge of these fights if he doesn't have a reflex block?
Yeah, I think the definition here for TSM really is to use a lot of their crowd control abilities, as it looks like we might get a fight.
Oh my goodness, Best Chuck getting lit up. Von C's on the backside though. There's your fearsome shade coming out. Connects on the Zelsiar, but Von C melting down. Zio just stands his ground with Zelsiar. And T-Tigers keeping the rest of Team Solo Mid busy up on the top side of that fight. 4-0, approximately 6 minutes into this one here. And Immortals, they're looking to apply a little pressure here in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, with Batiste down, they're going to be able to get quite a bit of damage off if they want on the turret. It looks like they're staying back, not looking to quite pressure. Curious, the aggression not really going in for the extra damage, perhaps not exactly sure how far away Von C is from that return, but once again, we were talking about it before. What is the goal of the Batiste? Well, as TSM scales to the mid game, we're going to be seeing Forced Accords come out. Quibble at level 8 will drop the stun on top of the enemy team. Ordained coming down. Fearsome Shade. It's like pretty much a crowd control nightmare for Immortals to have to move this glaive around. And of course, if they can get on top of Adagio, well, he's not going to be able to get away at all. No afterburn for him. So it's really going to be about Immortals making sure they find the target they want to kill and delete him. Because the fight of attrition here between the teams is going to be quite a messy one.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. Shatterglass picked up for Von C. It's a nice timing for him as he's going to move forward. Maybe look for a target here. Ordained out onto Zeo. Zelsier does jump back in with that benediction, but it's T-Tigers on the top side finding Best Chuck. Best Chuck will go down. Long range attack for Dienzo. Pulls up for the verse. And, you know, not too big of a deal that he used it there, but that's going to be a pretty large cooldown. Once again, Immortals able to pick up one. They don't lose anybody.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, the verse coming out does force the boot active from Von C, which is a lower cooldown than his actual boot. So the next team fight, if they actually do it right on time, he won't be able to have quite that mobility. But we talked about it, right? Focus on a target, figure out who you want to kill. They chose Vox, they nailed Vox down. That nets them a gold mine payout. They are able to push the wave into turret. And Best Chuck actually falling quite behind here on farm.
Flash checks, face checks the brush. This is a big team fight. Dragon Blood contract onto 2. Looks like they want Von C. Von C is the target afterburn. They're trying to lock him down. They have the damage. T-Tigers will come through with Zeo to find another kill here. About 8 minutes in, 6-0, Immortals up. I mean, net worth, it's in their favor. As we said before, it's not a huge lead, though. TSM still managing to scrape some resources off of this map, even though they're on the back foot currently. And levels are coming out. Flash X, you know, Force the Cord not really used as he would want it there. But this is going to be up pretty shortly. They can use it again. Wait for it comes out. It's going to hit the glaive. Not too much. Very just absolute defense mode for TSM.
Yeah, I would say that the win here for TSM is even though they are losing these team fights, they are defending their turret quite well. Only a little bit of damage actually going out on it underneath that shield. So Immortals finding the kills, but not finding the objectives. And this is the kind of gold lead you would expect out of Immortals composition up front. Finn and Vox taking a bit to come online. Of course, the Grace in the jungle, a complete nightmare. Some afterburn picks, just the power spikes coming out of Adagio's buff. Just a really aggressive comp as they continue to put the pressure on with these minion candies. But they do need to find this first turret, Humanist, to really break the map open.
What's the nice block on the Force to Cord there? What's the idea with all these minion candies? Why apply the pressure? We'll come back to that. Hold that one. Afterburn, Von C back take huge damage. T-Tigers finding that kill. Are they going to go under that turret? That's pretty crazy. They do back off, juggling that pretty smart. Another kill going their way, but I mean, you break that one down if you want, but these minion candies touch on it.
Yeah, I mean, the minion candy is really just making sure that they can't clear the wave faster than it takes for T-Tigers to come up and rotate, but watch out, Flash. Not
Wait for it connects out onto Zeo, but they're able to take Flash down, as you saw right there, and it's going to be turret going their way as well. A huge win. Zelsi are living on the edge of that health bar, just almost ticking down, but 8-0, 9.5 minutes in. Immortals is like 100%. This is their game.
Calculated indeed, get to pick up the kill and the turret. So Immortals really great map movements so far this game. T-Tigers finding the rotations through the enemy tri-bush, able to come up and surprise. These afterburns really finding their mark. And we talk a lot about Immortals and T-Tigers just constantly setting up plays, allowing the Enzio to really scale out of the lane on his carries. And this is exactly where Immortals wants to be. TSM, they could not get an early lead this game for Immortals to win. They actually did what they set out to do. Now it's just a matter of can they continue to apply pressure to the map, move your line of vision up, start taking down those crystal sentries, and make sure that you don't get picked.
Force Cord going to be blocked off there. Crucible out of Zelsier once again. He's doing a great job with that activatable right there. As you mentioned, the vision, moving vision forward. Also, Zelsier getting some very nice scout traps down across the middle area of this map. They do have complete control. And Team Solo Mid look to be at a point where maybe they can apply some pressure. This is once again afterburn in, very aggressive. Von C's the target. They're taking him low. He tries to get back. He can't. Zeo finds the kill, pulls up for the verse as Flash tries to waddle his way out of here. He's so slow. There's nowhere to go. You can't go, Flash. Dude, you are down. This is 2 kills for Immortals. That almost seemed too easy. And that was TSM posturing on Immortals.
Yeah, I really have to question why TSM is sitting so far forward. Once the Force the Cord goes out and it's blocked, like, mad props to Zelsiar for being able to do that. Like, if you get pulled in from this Force the Cord, Quibble, Ordained, Fearsome Shade, there's a lot coming to lock you down. But if that misses, TSM, you gotta get out of there.
Yeah, Best Chuck trying to contest with Von C, and they take a bunch of damage. Crystal Sentry's down. They're going to block off that Fearsome Shade as well. I mean, Zelsiar, who is this guy? Yeah, I'd like to see a little more of this guy out there. Of course, we know Zelsiar. Like you said, he's a little more well-known, like, in the rank queues. He's been around, he's on teams. A lot of times he's been a sub for a team or not finding that top-level success, but he's a great player. It's great to see him in here. Another Afterburn. Look at the aggression. These guys have great synergy. Best Chuck should go down as well. Forced to court from Flash, trying to pull him off of his teammate, but there's nothing he can actually do at this point. Flash is going to go down as well. A super clean ace for Immortals. 13-0 in under 12 minutes into this game. This is crazy.
I mean, T-Tigers feels pretty unstoppable on these engages. You'd have to expect this, though, right? We've got heals coming from Adagio, Divine Intervention just in case things get a little bit scary, and with all the fears coming out, they just don't care. This Batiste just not really finding what he wants throughout the early game, getting picked off. We saw he was actually a bit late to his Shatter Glass completion. He went for a few defensive items early, a little cooldown, so power spikes from TSM really kind of off the mark this game, and Immortals is just taking advantage of it. I don't really understand why TSM continues to push this envelope. They have to know they're substantially far down in net worth. They're still moving forward, though, trying to find fights. They're not looking to scale, not looking to finish these items on Best Chuck. So TSM playing a little too close to danger, and it's really, they're just taking the bites for it.
Yeah, it feels like they hit like a mini power spike where they get like clockwork and a level 6 infusion on Best Chuck, and they're like, okay, well, we'll try to do something here. It's not really working out for them. Honestly, I understand maybe why Von C doesn't have a reflex at this point. The idea with their comp, he's going to stand his ground, he's going to regen, he's going to just soak up some of that Polite Company, buffing him up, keeping him durable. But it's not enough right now. He's just getting Afterburn in every time. They've been targeting Von C down. They've been doing a great job. Currently, Immortals in position to engage again. If they decide to, Flash kind of looking for a target here. He has a Null Wave Gauntlet as well, something we should keep our eyes on through this next fight. Maybe a good Null Wave could kind of mess up Zelsiar's rhythm through this fight. Keep him from getting an echo off or something like that. Zelsiar on the front line for Immortals is, you know, they're just kind of keeping them pinned in at this point. The backs have spawned, and this would be nice for Immortals to try and soak that up, but with Crystal Sentry there and not having like a pole position in this fight, they're kind of hesitant to get in there, Fuji.
They are hesitant, but like I think Immortals definitely could pick the pace up here. I mean, we're 3 items on Dienzio, Echo, ready to rock and roll for Zelsiar, so Immortals really should be denying these back camps. They want to continue to take over the jungle. You can see they're trying to see if TSM will do what they've done the last few team fights, push up too far. No Wave Gauntlet goes out, but not going to hit. Crucible on point. Zelsiar, let's go.
Okay, so that was Zio's Crucible.
Oh. Even better.
Zio Crucible, that one. That's crazy. So Null Wave went out onto T-Tigers, and then the Crucible came out from Zio. It does feel like TSM are kind of like shooting blind here.
Oh, I didn't even realize that the Crucible from Zio there. Nice move from him. I mean, essentially, we've got so many people now on Immortal saying we can block the pull. Usually Zelsiar being on pull duty, but Zio saying one for the team here. I'll take care of it, even though the Null Wave didn't actually go out on Gray. So I'm curious what that communication must have looked like, Humanists. Zelsiar pretty happy there for Zio, not taking full credit for all pulls this game. That's okay. Can't get them all. That's what you got a team for.
All right, we have Force to Core ready from Flash. TSM looking to make something happen here. Can they combo up? No Wave, and they're gonna miss. That's not the Force to Core you wanted. Ordain on the T-Tigers. Benediction in here. They're standing their ground. Holy Nova's gonna come out. So that Fearsome Shade gonna be blocked up for the most part as Immortals look to stand their ground. Dienzio, can he find the damage? They've lost T-Tigers. The worst fight so far. First kill for TSM of this game. They're gonna lose Zio. No, the heal does come through. Zio can't find the damage though. Big bad mojos from Von C. And Zelsiar, you are on the wrong side of this fight. And it's just gonna be a matter of time before he should go down here. He tries to buy some time, but feels like some misplays coming out of Immortals, but capitalized on beautifully by TSM.
Oh man, Immortals, your target focus. We talked about it right when the game started. It's super critical for Immortals to pick a target, stick to the target, and delete it. And we actually saw quite a bit of target focus being split that team fight. Unfortunately, Glaive not being able to find the target he wanted. Adagio mostly putting damage into this Finn. So, got a question. Zio, are you following up with T-Tigers? Who's making the shot call here? What is the target? And everything Immortals did so far to put them in a good spot kind of unraveled in that team fight. Kraken on the field, now Humanist. Turrets to be taken, gold gaps to be closed. So this is not good for Immortals after such a clean early start.
Yeah, it's super hard to watch. This is the sign of just a great team, right? Like, you're on the back foot, then you take a huge fight. You take a huge objective. They've got Kraken marching forward. They're going to take a turret as well. And now Fuji, TSM marching forward. Forced to cord. It's going to be blocked off by, that was Zelsiar's Crucible that time. They're just alternating their Crucibles at this point. I don't know what the actual play is from them. Immortals trying to chunk down this Kraken as TSM looks for an opening. T-Tigers towards the bottom side of this fight. Kind of trying to find the right position. Who's he going for? Best Chuck is the target. They're going to jump in there. Zelsiar with the Benediction. Wait for it. Does connect onto 2. TSM being pushed back by Immortals. That's going to be another Crucible coming out. And the Fearsome Shade does connect onto 2 out of 3 of Immortals. T-Tiger still standing his ground, very healthy, stunned up by the Ordained as he tries to get onto Best Chuck, and they're going to chop him down. Dienzio, he's staying on target, but he's not stacking up with the same amount of damage, and once again, TSM take 2. This is Zelsiar left at his own defenses. Like, what is he going to do? He's just a grace. They have a Kraken plus 3 members just bearing down on their base.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to get at least one more turret here, maybe even Zelsiar as he gets pulled in, but looking to really put the damage and be surprised if they can get more than this. We'll see what the call is, but wow, this is such an insanely huge Kraken push. T-Tigers looks mad, though.
T-Tigers looks pissed. He's in there afterburn. He finds Best Chuck, Ordained, plus the Null Wave Gauntlet, and the Fearsome Shade. They just peel him off of Best Chuck. Dude, I'm not in the spectator client. I don't know how much health he has, but that looked like he walked away with like 10, 13 HP.
Oh my goodness. They knew Kraken was going to go down. They almost lost their second turret for it, trying to pick up a kill there. But the crowd control train coming out of TSM is so difficult for this glaive to get in there to delete a target effectively. I mean, this is really great comeback play potential, really compositionally built. The synergy coming from TSM here in these late game team fights. And we just said, like, the Kraken push, 1, 2, 3, 4 turrets, almost 5. What an insane return from TSM.
Wow, this is just beautiful, man. It's like Immortals, just like a giant wave crashing against TSM constantly. TSM just holding their ground. And you just can't budge this team once they get to that position. Right now, another Force to Cord is going to be blocked off. That one's Zio's Crucible.
That was actually both Crucibles. So.
Oh, that was! Yeah. That's a big problem, and that's one of the reasons I was kind of surprised and saying I don't really know what their plan is with those Crucibles before, because you have to have a pretty clear plan. Like, look, I'm trying to block the Force to Cord unless you can't do it, and then you're trying to block Fearsome Shade or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think they need to make sure they keep up with the Crucible duty. We talked, like, all early game, they were doing a really good job of, like, going back and forth with Crucibles, but this is a bit of a symptom of being behind. Things get a little scary. Your nerves get a little bit to the best of you, and you start using your double actives at the same time to block a single ability. So Immortals really needs to make sure they clean this up. Null Wave Gauntlet coming out, but it is going to be blocked, so nothing happening there. But Flash is still looking for that Force to Cord if he can find it.
Yeah, that's the Crucible on cooldown. Force to Cord's going to be off the mark. Zelsiar and Zio doing a good job to just kind of spread and predict that coming out. Zelsiar jumps in with the Benediction. TSM look to kite back. That's your Ward Treads in. T-Tigers wants to find a target, but they're just on Flash. Wait for it. Comes through. It's going to silence out Zio. T-Tigers jumps in, gets the Divine Intervention coming out with Zelsiar's Holy Shield coming out. This is a big deal. They're able to stand their ground. Von C finally getting melted down. Zio finally getting on target and getting damage done with this Adagio, who had fallen off for like the last 5 minutes of the game. And Immortals, a huge win for them. They're gonna get a Flash as well. Oh my goodness, that I don't know, that, like, I didn't see it turning around that hard, just right back the other way.
I mean, I feel like this is the idea. If you don't actually play into your crowd control, if you don't all kite the same way, then you end up getting picked off. And we saw Dienzio actually being able to turn around, help find damage onto the same target as T-Tigers, and just clean up the fight for TSM there. That's Echo, that's multiple Divine Interventions, lots of healing. That is the sustain they needed to take game 1.
Wow. A beautiful team fight coming out of Immortals there at the end. TSM, obviously, very tough opponents. We don't have to state the obvious, but what a nice comeback, almost comeback for them in this game. Definitely still a series that they could win, but Immortals to take a point off TSM here, super important. We know it's so important for Immortals to gain points this week. But with that, guys, let's keep this train rolling. We'll go ahead and throw it back to Munchables at the desk.